Well, I fixed that gelled fuel problem, but dealing with that made me realize something else. Extreme cold didn't just go after my diesel fuel, it was quietly stressing a lot of other things on my equipment. And a lot of times people don't notice them until it's too late. Take a look at the hydraulic fluid here. Not too milky white, but we're seeing a little bit of nice and slow, just to let things move around before you even pull really hard. This pulling doesn't take much effort. Some of these things could leave me stranded or out of commission just as easily as that gelled fuel did. The first thing I want to talk about is that battery that's hidden right there behind the mesh. I've got more than my fair share of these things, and I've talked about them in previous videos. But cold can kill more than just the charge of your battery, and there's reasons other than just maintaining charge that it's a good idea to have a trickle charger attached to equipment, especially on really cold days. So the last several weeks, maybe even the last month, has been below normal temperatures here in Northwest Pennsylvania. Freezing cold, below freezing, below zero in some instances. And that's really hard on the equipment. We learned that hard lesson with the gelled fuel, but that got me thinking about these other things. So let's talk about the batteries and the battery tender. Cold kills more than just battery capacity, more than just charge. A battery can test good and still fail in extreme cold. Voltage drop equals slow crank equals no start. But battery tenders like this don't just charge. They also keep the battery slightly warmer, which is really important in cold temperatures like this. You can see I've got one of the battery tenders here on the zero-turn mower because this was starting to be a weak battery in the summertime, which would mean it would die throughout the wintertime. But if I keep it on this tender, I'm hoping I can get one more summer out of it by not letting the cold affect it. Let's just see here real quick if it'll turn over. Another thing I wanted to mention is coolant. So especially on cold days like this, you've got to make sure you have the right mix of antifreeze in your system. In our case, in the John Deere 2210, that coolant is not only keeping the engine from freezing, it's also pumping through the entire tractor, keeping it warm, including that heater that's in the cab. This line is coming from the outlet of the engine and running actually to the little heater in the Curtis cab. That's keeping me warm. But the other job of all this coolant is to keep the engine warm and to keep the engine from freezing. Now you can see my reservoir there is actually a little bit low. And I've discovered that this winter I'm actually leaking coolant a little bit. I've found small puddles in the building after plowing. So I've got to figure out where that leak is coming from, but I've been maintaining the level in the reservoir there, making sure we're still good to keep this tractor in good shape. Another fluid that's really important to this tractor is hydraulic fluid. This is a hydrostatic transmission tractor, which means it's using the hydraulic fluid for a lot. Now you can see the level of the hydraulic fluid back here. It's actually something you check when the tractor's not running, when the tractor's not warmed up. On our 2210, that hydraulic fluid level display is right there. And it's actually looking pretty good while it's running, but again, this isn't the right time to check it. But right there is the level it should be, where you can see it in the glass. It's not too high that it's overfilled, but not too low that you can't see the fluid. You can also see the fluid condition in that little sight glass. But when you think about all the things that hydraulic fluid has to do for this tractor, it's really important to make sure you have the right hydraulic fluid, that it's circulating properly, and that you let it warm up. On these tractors, that fluid is extremely cold when you start the tractor. Let it pump through for a while. I'm talking 5-10 minutes before you move around, because that hydraulic fluid is running the transmission of this machine. It's also pumping through to all of these cylinders to raise and lower the front end loader. And in my case, it's going through the third function valves to articulate that plow. So just think that's additional fluid that's coming clear out here in front of the tractor to move that power angle plow and then it's got to go back through the system, and it gets used to move the machine around. So hydraulic fluid, really, really important in this tractor. Another place that hydraulic fluid is really important is in my log splitter. I noticed during the dead cold of the winter we've had a couple weeks ago, my log splitter was really hard to start. And that's because pull starting it is also spinning that hydraulic pump, which is trying to pump that really thick fluid through the system. You've got to let a log splitter warm up before you try to retract or extend that piston. Let that fluid pump around and get warmed up. Now typically, my Honda GX200 engine on the split fire log splitters takes 1 or 2 pulls to start. This time it took 16 pulls. I was actually tempted to spray some starting ether in it. I hate to do that on these small engines, so I avoided it. But it did take 16 pulls before that log splitter kind of sputtered and then started up and ran a little rough at first. And then eventually I was able to turn the choke down and it ran good. But again, that's another thing, you want to let it run for 5 or 10 minutes, pumping that fluid before you actually use the hydraulics through the cylinder. When it comes to hydraulic fluid, whether in the tractor or the log splitter, that cold fluid can send spikes of pressure through the cylinder and can actually destroy the seals. That's why you want to let that fluid pump around, thin down a little bit as it warms up, and you won't risk that severe damage to your cylinders and seals. Here's a few tips for starting your log splitter if you're having trouble in the dead of winter. Use slow, controlled pull starts. Don't just yank on it. That can not only break the rope, but it can also damage the starting system. Nice and slow, just to let things move around before you even pull really hard. This pulling doesn't take much effort. Just help cycle things through the system first. Now I would let that run probably 10 minutes before I even touch either one of these handles to move the cylinder or raise the log lift. Let this whole reservoir of fluid warm up, let the pump warm up, let the engine warm up. An important note here, water in your hydraulic system, again in your tractor or your log splitter, can do a lot of damage. So you want to make sure that that hydraulic fluid is free from any water. Now we actually talked about this in the hydraulic oil change in the Ford 8N tractor. That hydraulic oil is also the transmission fluid. And a lot of times in those old classic tractors, mostly because of condensation, water will accumulate in the tank with the hydraulic fluid. That can cause some really big problems in a winter like this. That water will freeze, you could actually crack the case where the hydraulic fluid is sitting, or ruin cylinders. So very important that you change that fluid out before wintertime. I made a whole video on changing the fluid in our Ford 8N tractor. Very similar process for any of the classic tractors like ours. I'll put a link to that video up above and down below in the description. But a great time to do that is in the fall before wintertime, so you get any water in the system out. While the log splitters are back there warming up, we might as well warm up the tractor too. Same process with it. We're going to start it up, let it run before we even touch that hydraulic touch control to lift up the 3-point hitch. I'm going to make sure the control lever is down. I'm not going to make it use that hydraulic fluid to try to lift up that lift until the tractor's warmed up. So we're going to take the hydraulic touch control all the way down. We don't want any of this having to circulate that fluid to lift up the 3-point hitch. Turn our fuel on. This is a 6-volt cold start. Turn the key on. Our red light came on. That's a good sign. We are going to give it some choke. Make sure we're in neutral. That was pretty impressive. Now there's a couple ways you can tell how warmed up your log splitter is. Obviously you want to feel that the engine's warmed up. You can feel a little bit of heat on the pump, but not very much. The tube, again, not very much heat, and you'll never feel much heat in the wintertime down here on the reservoir. But when you push the cycling lever, you'll hear that noise of the hydraulics, and that kind of gives you an indication of how warm it is. So it's still pretty cold. You'll also hear how much it slows down the engine. So we could turn the RPMs up a little bit. There we go. You can just cycle that nice and slow with no pressure against it, not splitting anything yet. Cycle that fluid through. I always like to turn the throttle down before turning it off to about the throttle I'd want it to start up at. Now that the tractor's a little bit warmer, can lift that hydraulic touch control up. You'll see it's lifting the big tool rack, but you see how it's kind of jerky? That tells me it's still cold. Take a look at the hydraulic fluid here. So it's oily, not too milky white, but we're seeing a little bit of, tiny bit of moisture in there, maybe a little bit of white, but as I see the drips come off, looks like pretty good fluid. Water accumulates over years or months via condensation. Frozen water can crack housings or starve pumps. That's why before wintertime, I changed the fluid in my 8N. The next thing I want to talk to you about is plastic, rubber, and seals, and we're here at the Polaris Ranger to take a look at the rubber boots here on the back. Cold is an aging accelerator, and you can see these boots, especially in the cold, would not be as pliable. And they are designed to keep dirt, debris, and water from getting into places it should not be. So it's really important to check those, make sure they're not cracked, make sure they're not falling off. Here you can see on this one, the snow is built up around that boot. So we want to get that cleaned out so it doesn't cause any damage. Cold makes rubber stiff and brittle. Hoses, seals, and boots fail faster. Older equipment is especially vulnerable. Here's another example of some rubber to check. You can see these hoses are starting to get pretty old on my tractor. A couple of them I've replaced, but some of these, especially where it's got to make that bend and turn, it might be time to do those because the rubber will get brittle in this cold weather, and then as the hydraulic fluid is thicker, you can actually burst one of those lines. Cold doesn't always break these rubber or plastic things immediately, but it will shorten their lifespan. The next thing I want to talk to you about is frozen pins, linkages, and grease. You can see I've got a lot of grease in there on this pin on the loader. Now, if there's any fluid in there and any water in there, it's going to freeze. Also, the grease, as it gets cold, gets less pliable. And what can happen is this pin can actually freeze in place. Old grease hardens. All the metal contracts, which tightens the tolerances. So here's a couple tips when it comes to greasing. First of all, it's best to grease these things before it gets cold. Forcing hard grease in there is difficult, especially when it's already frozen and those tolerances have already tightened because of the metal. The other thing is you should store this grease inside, like in a basement or in your garage at least. You don't want it getting to be the same temperature as the outside cold because you can ruin your grease, but you can also ruin your grease gun and your machinery trying to push that freezing cold grease into the system. Once you get things warmed up, you want to use nice slow motions at first. Nothing jerky. Let the machinery move nice and slow. Work all the joints. Again, nice and slow, nice and easy. Let those pins loosen up. Let the fluid move through the lines easily. No extreme pressure on anything. Just let everything pump through and warm up the system. There's a lot of pivot points here on a front end loader. And you want to make sure you articulate the entire system to get everything working and everything moving around. If we look at the four-wheeler here, we'll see another common winter problem, both the front tire and the back tire. In case you didn't know it, cold air drops tire pressure approximately 1 psi for every 10 degrees. So if you filled this thing up at 60 degrees and now we are at minus 10 degrees, you've got a 7 psi change. When you're talking about only 12 psi in a tire, that's a huge difference. So from the tractor to the side-by-side to the four-wheeler and the truck and the Expedition, all vehicles are affected by the cold air and tire pressure loss. In the F-350 and in the Ford Expedition, we got the tire pressure warning lights come on in the last 2 weeks because of those cold pressures. So that meant I needed to stop either in the garage or in the case of my truck, somewhere else to get some more air in the tires. It's really hard for my air compressor in the garage, especially in the middle of winter, to pump up to 70 or 80 psi to fill the truck tires. I wanted to show you one other thing I forgot about for wintertime. Inside our little refrigerator here in the building was some Mountain Dew. Well, it got so cold that those cans all exploded. And embarrassingly, it flowed out the bottom of the refrigerator, and a mouse decided to drink some Mountain Dew, and he died. Now, why is this important? Well, the cold doesn't really care what it's attacking. When you've got a building like this that's not heated, anything in here that's got fluid in it that will freeze is going to freeze on the cold days like we've been having. So the cold fuel in my tractor was the wake-up call. I wasn't prepared for that, and that made me think about the other things that I needed to make sure I was prepared for. So hopefully this video helped you out with some tips, things you should watch for, other things you should think about as far as preserving the life of the hoses, the hydraulic fluid, and your equipment. The fuel issue was obvious. It stopped me in my tracks. But these type of failures can be quieter. Prevention beats repair. Make sure you've got that hydraulic system ready, especially on a tractor that uses hydrostatic transmission, or even on our old Ford tractors where the hydraulics are used to raise and lower that three-point hitch. It's all important, and it all can ruin your day if something goes bad. Even though I've lived here in Northwest Pennsylvania my whole life, every winter seems to expose something that I didn't realize or something I needed to learn. What's the weirdest or most expensive thing extreme cold has damaged on your equipment? If this video might have helped you avoid one future failure, hit that like button and stay warm out there. If you found this video informative and entertaining, please consider checking out some of our other videos. I'll put links on the screen here. We've got a whole playlist about tractors that I'll put down below in the description. And if you haven't already clicked that subscribe button, we'd really appreciate if you'd click the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified when we put out new videos. Try to stay warm out there. We had one warm day yesterday, which we needed because we've got a ton of snow on the roof and that's causing another problem. There'll be a future video about that. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again the next time. Had to shovel out in front of my doors here just to get the doors open. And actually this one won't open. This left-hand door is bound up. I think the freeze raised up my chunk of cement here, which is keeping that from being able to open.